Hi, and welcome to tonight's Training Peaks meetup. My name is AJ Johnson. I'll be your host tonight, and we are joined by Siri Lindley. She's the head coach of Team Sirius. She's a former two-time ITU world champion herself, and we also have 4 of her athletes with us. We have Rebekah Keat, Dede Griesbauer, Scott Defilippis, and Carrie Lester. So thank you all for joining us. Very much appreciate your time. So first question I have is, Siri, when you were racing, you were also part of a squad environment. So how much of that has shaped how you formatted Team Sirius?
Entirely, because when I went to a squad environment, it just brought out the best in me. And I had never had it before I went to Brett Sutton. And when I got there, it was an incredible group of athletes, not necessarily all doing ITU World Cup, which I was doing, but Loretta Harrop and Annie Emerson were 2 athletes that I was competing against. But to be in that environment where your coach is there every day, he was at almost every session, it's just incredibly inspiring and motivating. And for me, what I love about it as a coach is that when the athlete is here in person with me, we can make, split-second decisions. And so I know that every single day we're doing the absolute best possible thing that they should be doing on that day. Because a lot of times athletes, they may wake up and feel really crappy, but think, well, I'll just go out and do it anyway. But I may take one look at one of these guys and be like, no, go home, go back to bed. I'll see you in 2 or 3 days even. So I think it's just, it's a very powerful environment. The athletes it's not just me having the ability to bring out the best in them, but they bring out the best in each other. And for instance, for younger athletes, they're going to learn a lot from the older athletes. The older athletes are going to be reminded about, the passion, that love for the sport. And it's a very powerful environment. And I think I wouldn't want to do it any other way.
So can you give us a little insight then into how it is structured? So how many athletes do you have here in Boulder? Are you out with them every day on the bike, or with them in the pool? So what does it kind of look like, maybe a typical day, if there is such a thing?
Well, I coach a total of 15 athletes. I have 13 of them are here right now. The 2 that aren't here, one races a lot in Europe and will be at a later camp, and the other has she also does a lot of coaching. Hillary Biscay is in Tucson, Arizona, and runs a business and just can't leave home to come here. And Yvonne Van Vlerken is in Europe. So they're not here, but a typical day for these guys, and what's amazing now is that everyone, I hope I'm not forgetting anyone. Everyone's here besides that. Yeah, no, that might need to be edited. No, but so everyone else is here, and yes, I think I'm completely obsessed with my job, but I love it so much. I wake up, I can't wait to get out of bed. I can't wait to, see, Kaz on the bike and Scotty running and Dede swimming and Beck running, whatever it is that's happening that day. But
so are you running around a lot, like to different sessions, like? So are you just constantly in your car just driving to see athletes, or do you kind of have a little like grouping up?
I do, yeah. Every swim we do together, and a lot of people say, well, how does that work? You've got Ironman athletes, half Ironman athletes, World Cup athletes. It works great. The way I like to train my swimmers, it works equally for all the different distances. So we get to do that together, which is awesome. If there's athletes racing on a certain weekend, then there's going to be a couple lanes with athletes doing something different. They're not always doing the same session, but we're all there together, and it's a great bonding time. And, as hard as the sessions may be, we have a lot of fun. I think that's why I love my job so much. We make it fun. We have some laughs, and as hard as they're working, they're still smiling. From there, there's going to be certain people doing a bike session. There's usually, at least 2 people going off and doing something together. Last weekend we did a long ride, and I had everyone start together, and that's awesome for me. I love that because I take a million pictures, and it's great. But as we get closer to races like Kona, we have 5 girls qualified right now for Kona. They're not doing any training together. So at this point in the year, my job gets even busier because I do run from one session to the next. I want everyone to know that they're just as important as everyone else, so I don't want to miss anyone's session. but going into Kona, I like to keep the girls that are going to Kona, I want them separate so that they're not worrying about each other, because obviously they're going to be big competition for one another, and so there's a lot more running around then. But it's great, and it works out awesome, and I love the running around. I take my bike and follow, well, I've been biking with Scotty when he runs, but he's getting so fast that like I can't keep up, so I had to get a Cervelo P5, and now I'm able to stay with him, which is great. And actually, swimming, I don't do any of the activities with them. I'm not into that. I mean, I would like to stay fit, and I try and do that on my own time, but I want them to know that it's all about them, and that when I'm there, it's all about them. So I'll ride my bike when they run, I'll be in the car when they're biking, or on my scooter, and swimming's very intensive for us. I like to know that everyone is getting what they need in the pool. I'm not just going to deliver a session. I want to make sure that everyone's swimming the best that they can and getting the help that they need if they need it, and being motivated and inspired. So I love it. It's great. Yes, there's a lot of running around, but I love it. I think the people close to me, though, don't love it so much.
Well, I guess so. Then for any of you, what has drawn you to the kind of that squad environment, and what do you see as the advantages or any potential disadvantages? So open question.
I don't think the squad really drew me to training with Siri. It was more Siri and her philosophies. I'd been with Brett Sutton. They're similar, but they're also very different in a way. Siri's much more passionate and actually makes it much more enjoyable and fun. And I'd been in the sport for a long time, so you want to still have that passion and that excitement. And I think I'd been in the sport for 14 years when I started with Siri. So, at that point in time, you need to find something that you're going to love. And then again, the environment comes with it, because she attracts great people. And I adore my training partners. Dede's one of my best friends. And it's nice to be able to do that every day.
I actually came from a different situation. It was sort of a squad environment, but we were a squad of two. I was coached by Karen Smyers for 7 years, and while Karen was still racing actively, and so she was my coach and my training partner. And as Karen started to wind down some of her longer racing, or the frequency of her racing, I ended up doing a lot of stuff on my own, and was out in Australia training for Melbourne in 2012, I think it was. And Siri was there with their squad, and I asked if I could swim with them, and just was immediately drawn to the squad environment, because there were other people that the days where I got up and was like, oh man, I just really don't feel like it today, there was a group of people there that would sort of, get me out of it, or, help me through it, and I could return the favor. And was sort of at a point in my career where I needed that sort of positivity, and both from Siri and the squad. So yeah, I think the squad is great. I mean, there are the days where you're wrecked and you just have nothing more to give, and you hate the fact that everyone's so good, and you never get to be the best. But it makes you better, and that's why we're all here.
Well, like Siri, Carrie and I came from Brett Sutton as well, and last year we were on our own for much of the year, and we missed the squad environment, and we from a distance you could see the enthusiasm from Siri. So I think for me it was twofold. I wanted to be back in a squad, and I also wanted to be around Siri, who was so positive, because being on your own for up to probably 10 months last year was hard to stay motivated every single day. So we've been here since May, and yeah, training's the easiest part of the day most of the time.
Anything to add, Carrie?
Yeah, what Scotty said, for both of us, we were on our own for a lot of last year, and it's exhausting. Like it consumes you all of the time. Like you don't have any other athletes to interact with, and just be out training with, and when it's just you, it's very exhausting. And then you come to a race, and I found a lot of the time last year, by the time I got to races, I was just exhausted, because it was just me for a lot of the year. But I also find with the squad, and we've been in a position where we've been able to train with some of the best athletes, you know, in triathlon from when we were training both with Brett and now with Siri. So it's something where, you know, every day you're getting pushed. Sometimes you don't want to get pushed, but you always find something in you that will bring out the best in whatever you have on that day. Like sometimes you think you can't push, but you really can. And when you have a group around you that sort of makes you find that extra gear, it really helps when you're coming into a race, particularly because it happens a lot when you think you can, you know, you're always searching and training for that extra gear. It just kind of happens in a race when you don't even need to sort of look very hard for it. It just happens. So, yeah, I'm just, for me, training with a group, it just brings out the best in what I have. It makes it much easier when it comes to racing because you're racing the best, well, you're not racing in training, but you're with the best girls all the time. So when you're mixing it up with the best athletes every day, when you get to a race, you're already there.
So you, and Scott, you also mentioned this being on your own for a brief period. So if you find that having that sort of that expert instruction and that immediate feedback from someone, and obviously when you're with Siri, it's very immediate because she's probably right next to you. Is that kind of really something that you find has been able to, how you train best, and kind of is that what gets the best out of you then, is having her right there to give you that expert instruction and immediate feedback?
It definitely is. Scotty and I, we spend a lot of the year as well away from Siri, whether it's in California or if we spend any time in Australia. So we kind of we experience, you know, the squad, right, and we get that immediate feedback. But then we have the times as well when we're actually away from Siri and we're working purely off the program that she gives us through TrainingPeaks. But there's definitely a benefit to being here, and she sees us every day. She sees us in training, swimming, out on the bike, running, so she knows exactly, you know, how we're feeling. She can look us in the face, and we can't hide anything here, really. She knows.
Dark swim goggles.
Right, yeah. She knows, she definitely knows, you know, when things need to be changed. We can probably hide more when we're away from her, but she will find out through the notes that we put in, you know, for our training. So it's not as immediate, but it's the changes can be made anyway. But no, it's definitely an advantage. You know, just having her here with us, and she sees us every day. And if anything needs to be changed to work for us, or you know, for our individual needs, then it's good to have that for sure.
Sarah, do you notice a difference then, if when they're you know, maybe out in Australia versus here in Boulder? Or does it take maybe an extra day or two to kind of tell them, yeah, I think maybe you need to back it off a little bit, or have you learned them pretty well, and you kind of see the notes a couple days ahead of time, and you know what's coming?
Well, sorry guys, but now that you've been here for this long, they're not going to get away with anything anymore, because now in knowing, and this is the best part of my job, is you get to know the athlete, the person, and I think that, and they're both so great. I mean, TrainingPeaks really is a savior for us. I mean, it keeps us in contact, and I'm like, I want to feel like my finger's on the pulse of every athlete, whether they're here or not. And a requirement is you need to update your TrainingPeaks every single day, because I want to be able to make those changes. And now that I know these guys so well, I think even in the way that, you know, when I was in Germany, the way that Carrie would write an email or sign off in the email would tell me she needs a couple days off. And you know, and Scotty, I mean, too. So really, you get so much. It's not just the information in TrainingPeaks, like the wattage, the watts you're pushing or the pace you're holding. I force them. Well, I mean, not like force them, but I.
Are there
Okay. Yeah.
What kind of penalties are there?
But they have to write notes. I seem like a happy, nice person, but I get furious if they just fill in the numbers and don't say anything about it. I want to know, okay. And they're like, well, I uploaded my file. It's like, okay, well, how did you feel? Because that's important to me. Anyways, yeah. So yes, I think having them here is obviously, it takes less thinking for me because I can just take one look and know what or feel like I know what they need. But TrainingPeaks really does allow me to hopefully make as good decisions as I can make with them here in person. And they do such a great job updating me. I mean, really, you guys are awesome. I'm so lucky.
Are these
Seriously.
your 4 best?
No, they all, I'm telling every single, every athlete, and this is what TrainingPeaks has done for us, because, I'll lay down the rules and say, you want this to work with you apart, you need to do it this way. And it really does. There's nothing that you can't get from reading what they've written down. So it really does help. Sometimes I get greedy and I say I want an email too, but I try not to do that very often.
Well, two little stories, being with Siri directly and having her be able to look you in the eye before you start a session. We were in Australia last winter, and one of our squad mates, Michelle Bremer, we all had a hard treadmill session that day, and Bully's session was before mine. We were staggered because there weren't that many treadmills. And so I had gotten up and was starting to get ready to go, thinking that Bully was long gone, and I get a text message from Bully, and she's like, I forget what she said, and I was like, well, how was your session? And I was in our living room, and she opens her bedroom door and sticks her head out, and she's like, I got pulled. So I immediately went into the bathroom and started washing my face so that I would look all bright and perky, and Siri would let me train when I headed to the session. So I had the heads up that she was doing the eyes to know if I was going to be able to train or not. So yeah, you try to perk yourself up. No, I got to do it. Yeah, I got to do it. Simultaneously, though, I am a coach as well. I coach maybe 12 or 15, depends on where we are in the year, but age group athletes myself, and I use TrainingPeaks, and I have for a very long time. And the reason that I do it is that I am not with any of my athletes. A lot of my athletes are all across the country, and I tell every athlete that I start working with, you get what you give. In terms of your relationship with me as a coach. So if you don't update your TrainingPeaks, or if you do it once a week or once every 2 weeks, and all of a sudden I get a flood of 53 TrainingPeaks messages from you, yeah, I'll scroll through them really quickly, but I'm not going to go through them as dedicated as I can if you do it every day. And if, again, like Siri said, if you just upload your file and don't put any comments, great, I'll give you some feedback on what I see technically, but there's two parts of it. It's art and science, and I think the flexibility of the TrainingPeaks allows you to utilize both through the comments and the ability to look at files. So, yeah.
Glad to hear you using using TrainingPeaks in your own coaching as well. That's great. So in a squad environment, there has to be some element of competition. I can see every day in every session there's probably a little something. No?
Yeah.
I would think internally.
Yeah.
So is that something that it is encouraged, or do you let it happen, or is it somewhat session to session, depending on time of year? Is that something you kind of make a game time decision on?
It's like a day-to-day thing, and I think, I guess for an example, if I'm recognizing that someone is just acing all their sessions when they're alone with me, but anytime I put them in an environment where there's competition, they're not doing great. That's a concern for me, and I'm not going to wait till race day to address it. So I'm going to be setting that person up in more situations where they're being tested, and they're going to have far fewer sessions with just me, and instead I'm going to put them in more a more competitive environment every single day, so they just have to get used to it. Then there are other times, like I said, going into Kona, for instance, if I've done my job right, everyone going to race there is going to be in peak form. And I want them focusing on what they're capable of doing just by themselves, rather than, how they're swimming, how Rinny's swimming versus Jody, and how so-and-so's biking, whatever. So that it just wouldn't be a smart decision for me to have people training together. But, I think depending on a race that's coming up, I think for like the ITU girls that I coach, it's important for them to be, facing that every single day, because yes, we're going to do a lot of work behind the scenes, one at a time, to get the strength, the fitness, the speed that they need. But, in those races, you're going to be running with 5 people around you. And so you really do need to practice that. And for half Ironman and Ironman, that's not necessarily happening now, but I would not be surprised if in a few years that the racing has hit a level where there are, 5 people running together the entire marathon. I mean, I think that the sport's just, reached such a high level that that could happen. But so, yeah, it's a day-to-day thing. But there is competition, of course there is. But I think an athlete can take that as an enormous amount of pressure every day, but that's pressure that they're putting on themselves. And what I do remind them all of is that, look, guys, you're training with some of the best athletes in the world. All you're going to do is bring out the best in each other. And if so-and-so kicks your butt today, your butt is being kicked by one of the most amazing athletes in the world. So instead of having that, knock you down, have that just give you confidence. Hey, I'm getting closer. And that's what it was for me. And I thank Brett Sutton for that. Loretta Harrop, who was like the best triathlete at that time, and I still think one of the best athletes ever, was kicking my butt every single day. But instead of looking at it like, oh, I suck, she's just lapping me in the pool and she's killing me on the bike, I took the attitude of, she only lapped me once in that 800 instead of twice. And, she finished that time trial only 2 minutes quicker than me instead of, 3.5 that it was a month ago. So I've always kind of been that half glass full type of person, because it really does good to look at it in the negative way. So, yes, there's a competition, but my job is to teach the athletes to look at it in the right way, a proactive way, and a way that's going to bring out the best in them.
So for you athletes then, how helpful is it for you knowing that Siri's also, gone through some of the same things that you have, the same race anxieties, the same stresses and the mental side? So, I'm sure you've pulled them aside and told them somewhat of a personal story about your training day stuff. So for you, how much confidence does that give you in terms of the type of program you're getting and the type of instruction you get from her?
Well, I think it's pretty rare to have an athlete who's been able, an athlete of her caliber to now be one of the best coaches in the world. You don't see that. We haven't seen that, I don't think, in the sport. If you think about the best coaches out there, Siri's probably the first one to cross over and be one of the best as an athlete and now as a coach. So for me, it's great. Some of the messages she sends, if you're having a bad day in training or even before races, she's been there and can relate to you. And that's helped me tremendously this past year, I think, for sure.
Yeah, definitely a huge help. And what I find as well is Siri can take her personal experiences as an athlete and a coach, but then also relate it back to, the individual athlete and, and work with them in a way that helps them overcome whatever it is, that they're dealing with. So, if it's whatever problem we have, she's always there and has an experience that she can share with us, but then she finds a way that works best for the athlete to overcome it. So she's very special in that can takes her own experience, but then works with the athlete as well to bring out the best in them.
So Siri, for you then, how long does it take you before you kind of figure out an athlete's how they learn or how they kind of respond to you? Because obviously with 15 different people, it's 15 different personalities, and they're obviously not all the same. So how long does it take for you to kind of figure out, okay, I need to be softer on this person or harder on this person, and how they react to what you're telling them? I'll bet you're pretty fast with it.
No, I don't really know. I mean, I know that, at Brown University, I studied psychology, and there was a time where I thought I want to get, my PhD. I want to go into, counseling and psychology. So I am fascinated by that aspect of coaching. I think that's one of the things that I love so much about it. Like Dede was saying, what you put in, you're going to get out. And I, from the beginning, like when these guys came on this year, there's a little bit of blind trust that I'm demanding from the start. And I realize that that's a big ask, to be like, okay, drop everything that you've known to this point. You need to trust everything that I'm telling you. And that's a lot to ask. And I know that at first it's going to be difficult, and we're going to have to compromise on some things and do things slowly, make little changes slowly. But hopefully over time I will have proven that, okay, yeah, this is working and I trust it, and it's a real trust then. As far as getting to know them, I mean, the more an athlete will share with me, and I'm a very open person with people that are close to me, and I consider my athletes my family. So I'm quite happy to talk to them about, the things that were hard for me or my issues, which I have many, which allows them to have the opportunity to kind of share with me a little bit more about them. And the more they give me, the more help I have in knowing how to manage them. That doesn't happen a lot, so then it does come down to watching them, seeing what's motivating them, seeing what's bringing out the best in them, seeing what kind of situations stress them out. Before a race, I mean, it's crazy. Like, if these four were racing, I'd be like, okay, Beck, just go out, do the best that you can tomorrow. That's all you can do. Stay in the moment, do the best that you can. Deeds, don't f this up. No, I mean, I'm actually making this up. Like, Deeds, you've done the work. Just believe in yourself. Stay in the moment. Don't stress. Just do your best. Oh, okay. Okay. So let me just pretend that these, Rinny, just, well, I can't swear, can I?
No.
Okay.
Rinny, you've won everything.
No. So, okay, let me, without
There are different
looking at
strategies
them,
for different athletes.
because I'm not going to make this too personal. For one athlete, I may be get out there and freaking dig deep, make it hurt, and suffer, and you cross that line never having gone that hard in your life, period. Or I'll just be like, get out there and kick some ass. You can go do it. Just do your best, honey. It's all going to be okay, all right?
It's very motivating for me.
So, I mean, it just depends, but that also can change. I mean, and so you have to be aware of the changes too. I mean, you can have an athlete that in the beginning just needs to hear, hey, just go out and do your best. No expectations goes for everyone, by the way. But then as they're achieving success and getting stronger and more successful, more confident, more self-secure, then, those conversations change. Right. And that's the stuff that motivates me. I love rolling with those changes. And maybe I'm meant to be like a triple personality person, because I like that, like playing different like personalities with different people. Now you all think I'm strange. Anyways. They know me that.
Well, so speaking of racing, Scott, Carrie, you've got Ironman Boulder coming up on Sunday. So being able to train on home roads and out at the res and familiar areas for you, has that been a help for you, or are you kind of maybe sick of running in the same places and thinking about the Boulder Reservoir?
For me, this is a last-minute decision. I just did Challenge Atlantic City 4 weeks ago. So something that I learned from Brett, and I'm sure Siri has agreed, which is why she's allowing me to race, is you strike while the iron's hot. Yep. So I'm fit, and we know the course, and we're staying a block away, 2 houses down from Siri, so we can roll out of bed and go. yeah, I mean, I think the course will be great, and I'm looking forward to knowing a lot of the roads, especially out there on the creek on the run. So I anticipate it'll be a pretty good day, for sure.
Carrie, for you?
Yeah, well, fortunately, I haven't done much of the run course at all because of an injury a while ago, but I'm healthy now. But yeah, it's great to be at a home race and not, having to, you're just taking a few of those variables out that normally, we have racing, like the travel and the food and all of that stuff. It's really just another long, hard training day for us. I'd like to think of it that way until I cross the finish line, because it'll take a bit of the hurt out of it maybe. But yeah, we've definitely seen, that it can be good that you know it. It can be bad as well sometimes that you know it, because you've done it over and over again, and if you ride a path that normally you feel good in, but on that particular day you don't feel good in, there's going to be some mental things that could be not nice, but
Do you think that it almost won't even feel like a race? Because you're on like, oh yeah, I've ridden by here, hundreds of times. And whereas, typically with a race, it's, your first or second, third time there. So do you think there's some of that coming into play potentially?
I'm actually really looking forward to trying to see how fast I can get around that bike course and the swim and run course. Those three things. But, it's... we ride it so much. I actually haven't ridden the whole bike course. I've ridden most of it, but, we ride, the roads so much, and we don't race them. So I would be very, keen to, race it for a change and actually see, Scary.
Give it the full go.
Yeah, give it a real go and see how fast we can get around that course. Sure, be fun, in a way.
Do you treat the training any differently for them? I mean, being on home roads, or is there any like special instructions, like don't go ride the course, and maybe don't run the Boulder Creek Pass, save it for race day?
No, we just love Boulder. I mean, we love it. We train. I'm just saying, like, this girl can ride here, so she's saying, we haven't raced this course. I'm like,
So there is a bit of competition.
Then can you just now here's
yeah.
So my instruction is this: can you just ride the course then? Because I'd be quite happy for you to just.
So she just rides it as normal.
Just ride it. I'll be happy. Okay, you too, Scotty. Same thing. Okay. We've been doing swims in the res. Get used to that. Obviously, it's been great. Being acclimated to altitude, having been here for a long time. I would not. Don't think I'd enjoy it as much showing up to race at altitude after not being here. So that's been great, but I think that knowing the course is actually great for them, and it just makes it, they're going to have their teammates on like every corner, and that's what this team's all about too. I mean, yeah, there's competition, but I guarantee you every single athlete will be out there all day long cheering these two on, and that's going to be really awesome. And I know all the shortcuts on my scooter, so I'm good as gold for that.
Do you have it all mapped out then? Like where you're going to see them and any special instructions?
I have my plan, but you can't always count on that plan. I don't know what's going to be out there that I'm going to have to face to get around, but I'll have my scooter and my bike, and
so it's almost like another training day for you as well.
Yeah, and although I can't offer a cooler of Gatorade and bonk breaker bars, but that's okay. You guys have the aid stations for that.
All right, well, thank you very much to all of you. We very much appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.